Sounds like. Joel?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
That works. Yeah, that works. Holy shit, we're back. We're back. quick, start doing something.
Did this link not work for Nick?
I don't know what's happened to Nick. Whichever thing you've just clicked on, tell Nick to do the same.
That's the one Nick was telling you. That's what Nick said on the RZB, whatever page it was, that it wouldn't work from the signal to the home page.
Yeah, he couldn't get it to work, right? But whatever you've just clicked on obviously has worked. So
I think the issue is when you click it, it's not giving you the HTTPS.
Okay.
So it's giving you to a screen where it's saying the web page isn't available because obviously it's not a web page because there's no H. So you have to copy it and then type in HTTPS before the Hangouts Google bit.
All right. Well,
I'll try sending the link on there to see if Nick can get it.
Yeah. That would be good. And I'm gonna put the. I'm going to put the link to this onto the Red Zone Blitz forum.
Yeah, do it. Let's try and get a copy as well we can. I need to re-upload Steam and fluff again.
Oh, I'd be careful. You might want to do it just watching my stream.
Oh, it's updating Steam. Bloody hell. Should I just be seeing wood though at the moment? Is that the right idea?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but hold on. So you should see now Red Zone Blitz forum. Yeah. All right. All right, we've got somebody on. I think we've got Struble on. Hey, what's going on? You should have Joel on. We're trying to see if we can get Nick to come on. On my other screen, we're doing all kinds of other stuff trying to make this work. But hello. We'll just load up this. All right, so this is on. This is cool.
Oh, that's my headphones. There's the issue.
All right, can you see it, Joel? I can hear you, Joel. Hopefully you can hear me, and hopefully you can see the screen, which has got a load of Excel on it now, which I'm playing around with. No. I've turned my audio level up. Can you hear me, Joel? I've turned my audio level up, so hopefully you needed that to be able to hear me.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Let's hope this is working. This is not the world's most helpful piece of technology, is it? Shrew can hear us. Nick is struggling to get it to work.
Can you hear me again, School?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. I'm just going to leave quickly.
Right, okay. Can you hear me, Joel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, brilliant. Right, let's do some stuff. And I've sent Nick a link, and let's see if you can get on or not. All right, so we got Joel hopefully on the line. We got my screen on the screen. I think we got Strubles on the Q&A, so hello. It's taken us a long time to figure out what we're doing, for which apologies everybody. But the technology is not as good as we had hoped it was. We did get a test working, and it was a bit better than this, but it's taken a while. Anyway, we're going to try and do some down the draft. Let's see if this works. And I frankly don't know if this is going to work, but we are going to try. And let's give this a test. Right, Joel, what do you think we should do?
Shall we just do a quick review of what people have taken recently to start off with?
All right, let's do that. So I'll begin by putting, so what I've done is I've put the first 60 picks in here. And I think there've been a couple more picks actually since we were trying to figure out how to do this. So let's do a little bit of live draft review. So since we were figuring out how to do this, we've had 2 more picks, which is Cincinnati took Emerson, who you liked while we were looking at this before. Yep. So that's a new one. So that is pick 61 is Emerson.
I think it's worth remembering here that Rob's defensive scout's not very good.
Is that right?
From what I'm looking at here, if I just go on the staff screen 1 second, I don't remember him being good. Last year this was an issue. Pittsburgh defensive coordinator. That's Philadelphia. 1 sec. Yeah, he's a good scout. So his scout's probably about a 60 bar, but his interview's at about 10, so he's seeing really, really wide bars. Yeah,
that's interesting. Well, wide is okay. We tried to adjust for that, but that's interesting. So his defensive scout's not as good as his offensive scout, right?
His offensive one is incredible.
Right, okay.
In terms of scouting ability, interviews probably about 40, so he's still seeing wideish bars, but he's bang on with the area that he's seeing.
Yeah, all right. Well, look, I mean, that's sort of is what it is. There's 62. So I've got the latest picks in, I think. So they're in. We've got, if we then go back to the board, let's do this. So we're gonna take the whole board here and we're gonna put in the picks. So these are the 62 picks here. We were having a conversation before we came on this with Nick about the guy he took a 59. And then there was 61. You quite liked 61. I know, Joel. Yeah, that was one you liked. And when we were trying to look at I guess, should we just look at some of the picks we thought were good value further up? Did you have one of your picks you particularly liked, John?
Good value further up?
Yeah.
1 second, let's just have a look at the class.
I don't think there was any good value at all in this draft because it's such a bad class. I think that the first 2 picks, I think, went to form. Fair enough, I guess, on the running back. The tight end, the tackle. I liked Elias. I think that when I'm trying to remember who it was who picked Elias, but they also had pick 11, sorry. And if
that was Cephal, yeah.
Fisher as well. That would have been absolutely the best, I think, way you could get out of this draft. That would have been amazing, but still pretty good.
I know you don't like Van Bernard, but I think him there's a bit of a steal as well. If he isn't being a bit of a bust, if he hits the bars that I see,
yeah,
I think he's going to be a very good value at that pick anyway.
Yeah, I think query whether the
agility
is going to kill it, but I don't know, right? None of this stuff is hard and fast, right? So you can just sort of take that caveat, and that's something that matters in every single thing you look at here. So what we said we tried to do is look at some down the draft guys, I guess, and why don't we ever go at doing that? See if we can find some guys which are way off radar and probably the kind of people that you think, well, not so sure I want to pick this, or just sort of, when you're in the 5th or 6th or 7th rounds where you're looking at players and you just think, well, I don't know much about this guy at all, but I'm going to take a flyer or whatever. I think we should find some of those. Have you got any position groups in particular, Joel, you want to look at for that, or should we just look?
I'll admit, I'm kind of intrigued by this guy, Rick Penberthy, who's a cornerback, because he's 76% developed.
All right, let's do that. So
he seems like one of those guys that I've heard
Here we
Ben
go.
does the same thing, and Nick does it from time to time.
Yeah.
He's quite old. He's very old for the class, though.
Yeah, that's really unusual. 2009. So if we do the whole class and see how many 2009s you get, all right? So you get 3, and if you look at their develop, it's still higher than the others, right? So that's quite interesting. 76 is really unusually high.
That's why he popped out. It's really. I think it's the first time I've seen over like 70%.
Yeah.
On an outfield player, not a kicker.
The highest. What's the highest? It's probably the highest in the class by a long way. Highest in the class by. Oh, there's a 71 and 74, but I bet you those are players that are absolutely rubbish. You don't normally get players like that coming. So let's just do it like that. Okay, you've got some other ones. This one, there's a few. That's quite interesting. So, like, if you look at this guy, same logic, right? If you did the same logic for this guy, Shay.
Yeah, Shear, Casey Shear.
Yeah, a bit of a combine issue, but anyway, let's look at this guy Penberthy, right? This is the guy you looked at. So 19749. Let's put him into the comparison thing. And see, the model didn't like him that much, but I quite like cornerbacks that have got this kind of fairly even profile across. So let's see what that does. Okay, so this is, and if you look across the bars and they're sort of okay. I don't think the static in defensive backs is that helpful. I know some people look to pick high punishing hit statics.
It correlates with the bump and run, doesn't it? So, because they both use bench.
So I think that, yeah, it's that point on the combines, I should probably do a separate thing on that, on how I think those correlations work, which I don't have a lot of confidence in that logic, but I'm not saying I think it's wrong. I'm just not sure I've either not understood it, or I just don't know how to sort of take it into account. So here, look, these 5 guys, you do get a few that look interesting. Look, this guy is a straight up pop, but he's a no combine player. This guy looks at, it's got similarities. The thing with what I look for in defensive backs is I really do look at the combines for them, because all you really need is, if you have a guy who's got good combines across the board as a defensive back, it seems to really help. And that's something I do look for. This guy hasn't quite got it. He's almost there on this one, but he's not quite there. But yeah, I mean, I'd take that guy as like a 7th rounder, but still probably maybe a 6th. But still, yeah, maybe, why not? There's a reason to. I think when you're down the draft, you have to have a reason to pick them, right, as opposed to reasons not to pick them.
Yeah.
And there's reasons to pick this guy. I can see the logic for that. Not what the model. What I have here is a model that's very much just trying to find guys who might be starters. So maybe just to explain the method that I would use for a down the draft pick, because I think it's a bit unusual. And the logic behind what I'm doing is mainly this. If you can get 3 starters a year with your draft capital, every year. Hey, Nick, are you back? Nick?
Yeah.
Nick, what's going on? Hey, you managed to make it in.
I made it. Yeah.
Joel, you on?
I still can't hear Nick.
Shut up.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, hear Nick. I can hear Joel. I can hear Nick. I have no idea.
I can see when Nick's talking, because his little microphone bit starts moving. So I'll just stay quiet when Nick's got something to say.
Okay, on the right-hand side of the screen, Joel, if you've got the same thing as me, there's a bunch of sliders, and I don't know if you can try and find a Nick slider and try and play with it. I don't know.
I can hear everybody.
Yeah, so can I. Sorry, we'll keep going. What I'll do then, if you can hear me, Joel, how about we do this, right? I'll just take a few minutes, right, to talk about how I try to think about down the draft guys, because it might be interesting, it might not be, but you'll see if we might think about it similarly, we might think about it differently, but it might be interesting. I think it's a good sort of thing to talk about. So when I'm looking at the draft, right, every year, and particularly if you've got a playoff team, which fortunately in the GML I did pretty much all the time, I think you want to get to 3 starters with your draft capital, right? every year 3, at least, ideally more than 3, but every year 3. And the logic for that being that if the player's got an 8-year career, and you get 8 times 3, so you get 24 players, right? Then you'll have 2 sets of 11 players, one for the offense, one for the defense, and then a couple of others. And then obviously you'll get along the way other stuff, which is going to probably be enough. And if you do that, you might end up with a roster with no gaps. And I think one of the really important things is to have no gaps. So one of the things that I've set this model up to do, even though it often comes up with picks which are counterintuitive, is to have as high a probability of being a starter as possible, which is not the same as being the best possible player.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So what I've got on the screen here, all of these guys are an attempt to find players which are closest to this stack of prototype players that become starters. Yeah. Now these players have all got flaws, and there's reasons to dislike all of these players, but I still try picking these guys because I think over time you increase your probability. If you can get 4 or even 5 starters in a class, I think you're miles ahead, right? And I think that's really important, particularly if you're picking like the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 32nd pick or something.
Yeah.
Does that fit with your logic at all, guys? I mean, do you think of it like that?
I don't know really. I don't really go into. I just sort of try and pick the best player every time I make a draft pick. I don't sort of tend to worry about. I mean, you look at your roster and you look what gaps are there, and I just treat every pick on its merit and let everything else take care of itself, I guess.
Yeah, which is. I guess this is a more automated way of trying to do the same thing, right? So let's have a look at some of these down the draft guys and see if they're the kind of guys you guys are picking. If not, it'll be quite interesting to talk about it, right? So let's have a go. Here's one. This one's an unusual one, right? This guy, according to me, Conyers, right, is going to be probably a fairly unusual one. If you have a look at Conyers, he's an outside linebacker, but I think he's a defensive end. So OLB Conyers, and let's have a look at him. I've not looked at him before. We're doing it in real time. But this is a sort of guy I would look to pick like a 5th round pick, I guess, just off the face of it. And let's look along the line. So he's got kind of enough of everything. In fact, he might be a 4th round, but he's probably a bit better.
Yeah, so I wouldn't take him. He wouldn't jump out at me.
How come, is it?
Well, he doesn't do anything well enough. I mean, he doesn't look like he defends the run particularly well, doesn't pass rush particularly well, doesn't do anything particularly well. His statics aren't jumping out at me. They're pretty much where I'd expect them to be. So I'm not attracted to a guy like that. I would rather have a guy who does one thing really well. If that makes sense. And then plug him in when I want him to do that thing. Or I may want a great run defender, but then I use depth charts, you don't. So that's the difference. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I'll either a pass rusher, a pass defender, or at this point you need role players. You're not going to get a stud player, but you could get guys that are very, very good at doing one thing, and I would rather have that than somebody that's just average at everything, because he wouldn't get on my team.
So that's interesting. So it's a little bit of a difference in roster approach. So the reason why I like this guy, right? So I think he converts to defensive end. He says 47, yeah?
Yeah.
You can see the screen, yeah, 47. And if you look at the other ones, there's one here which is, you can kind of disregard as a bust. You've got one boom. Most of them are saying they're going to stay around 47. He's going to be a mid-40s outside linebacker. The combines here are all okay. I think above 40 is okay. The solid assessment is a problem. That's fine. I don't care that much for this position about that, right? Then if you look across to here, and I know you can't see as well because I've tried to make it bigger so you can read it. I agree. Everything's about all right. Nothing's standing out to you as really good. For me, because I'm hitting Rex and I don't pay much attention to anything else, right? I look at this guy and think a couple of things. I think if you convert this guy to defensive end, which I think he's just about big enough to do it, 259, right?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
You're going to get a little bit of a pop, right, on the number maybe. So you might get high 40s. You've got a decent chance of high 40s and a pretty good chance at low 40s, right? He doesn't do anything especially well, but he doesn't do anything crap either. So he's just kind of there. He's probably the third best guy on the roster, right? And he might stay there. He might not do much of his rookie contract. And the second contract would be cheap. And then you could have this guy with 6 or 7 years of cohesion. This guy, to me, would be league average cheaply for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Which for me doesn't make that much difference, right? Maybe you need one guy who can get some sacks. Right?
I just don't think I'd use him. He wouldn't make my team. I just don't think he'd never get on the field for me. I don't think.
Yeah, well, that's the delta, right? So I'd be like, okay, that's all right and if you got this player with a 5th round pick or something, 58% developed, not that young, but still. For me, that's definitely a 5th. I'd be okay with a 4th rounder there. If you look at my little expected round, it's telling me, look at this guy in the 4th round.
Nick on this one.
Well, you'd say the same.
So let me suggest a guy to you then, a similar sort of player that would be better for me. Again, let's go for an outside linebacker. Givens, Anthony Givens.
There, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Givens, yeah. So he runs a 4.54.
Yeah, I think so because what?
Oh, go on, Doc.
So his overall rating might be crap, but he's probably going to have maxed out pass rush technique.
So let's have a look. So Givens, yeah? So 253.
Yeah.
And if you look on the combines on the 0-100 scale, which hopefully you can see here, it's this guy. So we've got the 90, which is what you just said is the high, or the low 40 time, yeah? And then you've got the pulse spec of 5 is the question mark. The bench 20 is a question mark. So I'll go into this thing and run the model, right? So if I do guys by similarity, you get high variance, you get pops and you get problems. We'll go across and look at the static. I think
I wouldn't worry too much about the overall rating of him. All I'd be worrying about that he's got his pass rush technique. He's not a complete sack of shit against the run, and he's got the endurance to stay on the field. I mean, if he's a 38 overall, it wouldn't worry me because I still think he'll produce. I still think he'll get 10, 12 sacks a year.
Yeah. But so let's have a look at I mean, I don't disagree with that. And if you look at these bunch of comp players, let's do this let's be a bit sort of judicious on. Maybe.
I've got a guy on my roster now. He's about a 38 or something. Can't remember what his name is now. He's just sort of sat there at the minute, but very, very similar sort of player to Givens. So that's why I don't really care if anybody takes him, so I don't mind talking about him. A guy called Zach Barnes. Zach Barnes, he's 1733, right?
Yeah.
That is a 33 rated player, but he will smash out. He could smash out 12 to 14 sacks. He's got 93 pass rush technique. He's got plenty of endurance. So yeah, no, hasn't got that overall rating, but in fact that's a positive because he'll be cheap as chips. He's still going to do the job. Whereas for me, that fella you suggested, he might not do anything wrong, but I don't see him doing anything right either.
Well, I agree with you. And what I like is there's 2 different ways of getting good value, right? They're different. I'm not saying one's better than the other. You're looking for I think down the draft, you're looking for all these different ways of making it work, right? Yeah. You're just trying to find a way. And just look at this guy. I mean, I don't disagree with you on this guy because now you look at him. This is now a bunch of comparables that are a bit like this guy. None of them are projected as like megastars. They're all projected about the same as this guy, or similar. They've all got. I've deliberately changed it so that they've all got high pass rush technique, which is this one. Yeah, this is the drafted bars. This is what you see. Sorry, the scouted bars. This is what you see before the reveal, right? And then we go over, and these were the actual players. And check this out, right? These are the actual players. So here's guys 100, 100, 100. Now look at the combine on this guy here is not very good. And you think, well, that makes me concerned maybe. But no, because look at this guy. He's got a similarly bad combine. And he graded out with a full-on 100, right? Yeah.
I mean, you just have to look at his 40, which is max. And it correlates perfectly with his pass rush technique. So, you're thinking to yourself already it was probably true then. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's. I agree with it. I think that there's obviously other stuff in the calculations, and no one's managed, I think, to fully backsolve what's going on. Plus, there's randomness. But I agree that you've done everything you can there to maximise your probability. And I think, or to give you a decent, hang on, in the Q&A on things, Scouted Givens, I've got him overrated. That's interesting. I still don't really think I understand what the interview process is doing. And we had a chat about that a little while ago before we came on this. But anyway, so there's Givens. I agree. That's definitely. What would you say, Nick? A 4 or a 5?
No, much higher than that. I mean, I think the thing is, he may be overrated, but he's overrated in bars that don't matter.
You agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter that he's overrated, because as long as he's got that 100 pass rush technique and he's got 45 in endurance, and no, I think at the end of the day, if the guy's going to get 12 sacks a year, no, he should be way higher than that. I think you could take him right now.
Well, you said I think you've got I don't think you've got as good as 50% probability of it. You've probably got a 30 or 40% probability of it for me.
Probability of what?
Of getting the high pass rush technique and the sacks. I reckon you probably, it's not as good as tossing a coin for me, I would say. Right?
No, I disagree with you. We'll have to see how he comes out. I think he'll be a good one. I think he may come out with only 38 overall, but I think once you get that pass rush technique up there, I think you'll do a good job for somebody.
Well,
we'll see.
I don't disagree with that. All right, let's try and find some other ones. This is quite fun doing like this, actually. I quite enjoy the idea of just like.
I'd have a look at Asher Gigliardi, or whatever his name is.
Gigliardi.
Yeah, I liked him as well. He hasn't got a good combine, but.
Gigliardi. All right.
What position does he play then?
He's very much like the Knicks guy. Gagliardi.
What's the position?
He's another linebacker. There you go.
Outside, yeah?
Yeah, 5th down. He was up. You just hold it open quickly.
Asher Gagliardi here, yeah?
Yep, this guy.
All right, so let's check this guy out. So again, sort of questionable set of combines going on here, right?
Yep.
Younger, which is always good. Again, this thing doesn't like him as a kind of prototype. So you're looking for. This is another example, I guess. It must be of looking for kind of odds and ends. The guy does something well, maybe.
I don't see.
He's got a max run defense to me and a PRT of about 75. So for me, that'd be a nice all-down defensive end.
Well, let's start off with a static.
He's getting scouting error there, big time, man. He's getting terrible scouting.
Oh, he's got no static. No static.
His scouts suck.
Rob's
pass rush technique is about 40. He's got really bad scouts, Joel. Makes me laugh, man.
Rob Scout says mid-60s for this guy here.
Gigliardi's pass rush technique.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez. No, I'm not seeing that.
Rob, you need to upgrade your scouts.
He's got bad scouts. Rob's scouts ain't that good either. See, my scout's maxed, and he's seeing around 30 to 55.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's big scouting error on this guy. I think that run defense bar is false as well. There's no reason to think that it's real. You haven't got the combine backing that up, have you?
No. So I think this is the thing. So look here. I don't know. Obviously we're just seeing the scouting might be a bit all over the place in the defense here. And you don't know, right? But I would just say that if you look at the closest guys to this guy that the model thinks exist, if this guy's a no combine player, it's harder to tell. The first 4, it's just got bust. 5th one looks right. But if you take guys like this with this kind of static, you get a lot more. I expect to get a lot more variance. And these run. Let's try pick the ones that just got good run defense. So let's try the ones with greater than 69. Say. All right. So this is just the ones that are good at run defense. To your point, Joel, if you're trying to get the run defense, and then in their actual careers, you get still quite a range. Look, you get this guy didn't work out at all, and this guy didn't work out at all. You still get some decent ones. You get some middling though. It's kind of the bar of 80 turns into an actual of 50. So that to me
happening here. I see this guy. I see him dropping, man. Without question.
So I like the idea of down the draft in particular. Obviously, one way to look for value is to look for statics. Another way to look for value, which frankly I can benefit from, not so many GMs can, is just running all these similarity comps and finding players who you don't think they look like they're going to work, but they do. We'll find a couple of those in a minute, right? Bit like the guy we were just talking about, Nick, where I agree with your point, the guy didn't do anything much, but he didn't look like much, right? And he'd probably be serviceable starter, right? Or the chance of it. So I like looking for those. This guy, I think this guy is just a straight up wouldn't work. He's probably a 7th round pick for me. I don't think this guy would work out. Just my view. I'd look not to do him. I've got on the Q&A, if you guys probably can't see it, but on YouTube we got Strubles on, and he's just sent me a thing. He likes an end called Gomez. So asking us to have a look at Gomez. So let me just do that, if you guys are all right with doing that. Defensive end, Ike Gomez. So let's do that. Down the draft idea.
He's not very smart. That'd be my issue with him.
All right, so this is him. So we got 55 as the projection, which is here for Gomez. Oops. And then we go across. It's not smart. Yeah, I haven't got as much of a view on that on the defensive line and on the O-line. I don't know. That's just my view. Doesn't mean that, right?
I did when I got beat by Nick in the championship game. Must have been about 100 yards.
Quite old developed. Right, let's run the thumbs. It's quite a big end, so it's probably a 3-4 end or might not be big enough to switch to tackle in a. Actually, no, you could reduce you could probably get the weight down. So here's Gomez. So why do we like Gomez? Oh, that's interesting. On the face of it, that's a promising start. Similar players do quite well, right? Disregarding everything else. And that includes similar players with equally bad agility combine, which is interesting. There's the high strength, so the high static on this guy. I do think the static for PR strength on the front 7 matters a lot more than the punishing hitter one. I could try and prove that out with numbers, but I do think it for whatever reason. So if you find other guys with high strength, and then the guy technique 79, okay, 79. So pretty promising. Here's a couple with 70 and 71 at the top of this similarity board. Again, they've got bad agility combines, just like this guy. They've got better dash combine, which is Nick's point, right?
I don't like this guy, and I think what will happen with this guy is he'll come out with a nice rating, and they'll be mainly in bars that won't do a lot. He'll have the high statics. He'll have a pretty overall rating. You'll end up paying him fairly big salary, and he won't really do a lot. He's not great against the run. He's not going to be a great pass rusher. I just think he's a guy that's going to eat up salary and not do you any favors. That's how I see Gomez, really.
That's interesting. So I get on these two guys that look like they're pretty similar, and in their actuals, you're in the 70s, right? So you're not in the 90s. And I guess your point, and actually probably both our points here, right? So let's say you had this guy. Here's a trade. I'm offering you a trade, right? Gomez, who's a 70 with a 55 or 55 overall rating. All right, I'll trade you Gomez for my guy and your guy, right? So your guy with a high technique and there's a 50% chance of him being that good. And then my guy who's got a higher chance of being average. I'd take both of our guys against this guy all day long.
Yeah, I believe in my guy. I believe in my guy, so I'm going to stick with my guy.
Yeah,
and I've got his name. I believe in him, though.
But I guess the point is, this is the sort of roster construction point. If the guy Gomez here is probably rated as a low second, high third, would be my immediate reaction, just in terms of.
Yeah, it's just not somebody I'd ever want. I wouldn't take him. I can see he'll look good, and whoever gets him will be laughing. He might be a 55 or something at 57. They'll think, oh, that's a nice pick. But yeah, I'd rather have a 35 that actually produces.
I agree. So this guy with a second or a low, high third, as opposed to both our guys with a 4th and a 5th after a trade down, I'll do that all day long. I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Gomez. Any others on the Q&A, throw them in, we'll do them. Let's see if I can pick out a couple more guys that let's just throw some guys that we like. It's fun doing this. I'm enjoying this. Let's see if we can find a counterintuitive guy that my model likes and see if you guys just think this guy's crazy. What the hell are you guys what are you going on about? Let's find a counterintuitive guy.
We talked one actually.
Yeah, you got one. Okay, go on.
One second, I just need to scroll through my players. It's a running back,
okay.
But he's got no running bars. But he's got, to me, Nick's going to laugh at me because my scout's not very good on the offensive side, but he's got high GD, high RR, and high third down. No endurance. His name's Diego Wallace. Diego Wallace.
Diego Wallace. It's not a strong start. It's not on the first page. Wallace. Hang on.
He's a terrible running back. The worst running back you can possibly get.
Oh wow, strong. This is deep. This is a down the drafter. This is undrafted free agent territory. No, let's have a look. Wallace,
wide receiver. Then wants him as a wide receiver. His BPR is probably going to come out crap though, wouldn't it? Because he's so slow.
Yeah, that's the problem for me. I don't think that guy survives conversion, Joel.
No, I don't think he does either. He's a little heavy.
I agree with you though. This is exactly the sort of guy where I'd take him as a seventh free agent with no one.
I'd take him in the seventh.
Probably without broadcasting it on a YouTube feed.
The interesting thing is, my scout also agrees with Joel on this one. That he does see the high route running and getting downfield. So yeah. I think it's there. I think it is there legitimately, but I think when he converts over, his BPR is probably like 0. But he's got no endurance, so
worth a try though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a draft pick for me, but not worth a try. Right, I got one. Here's one. Jeffrey DeJesus. You ready for this? Wide receiver, Jeffrey DeJesus. He's my guy. Let's try him. So,
I actually thought he'd be gone in the second. He hasn't gone yet.
I don't think people pick wide receivers high now. I think they pick them too high, unless they're super elite, right? For me, this is not a. I mean, that's a guy, right? Hang on, let's have a look. I don't know actually. Maybe a 4 for me, not higher than a 4.
End of the 4.
I'd do a 4. I'd do a 4 though for that. That's the kind of thing I'd be always trying to do.
So I'll throw a quarterback out there. I had a little look at. Shall I?
Yeah, go on.
Gomez.
He's just gone in the draft, I think. Well,
is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Eric Gomez. I've got a quarterback actually after do this. Eric Gomez, 19021. All right. So what are you seeing here? Do you like the? Hang on, it's not worked out on the. Let's just.
He's nothing special, but I could see him going in the third. I was thinking about taking him at 323. I mean, he looks like he could hit 50 on a good day, maybe.
Yeah, I the stuff that I did on post it up on here about avoid interceptions, right? It makes me pause when I'm picking quarterbacks, and I never in the GML where I played something like 40 seasons, I never picked a quarterback. It was ridiculous. Actually, that's not true. But I never played a quarterback I drafted ever, which was weird. Very weird.
He just got drafted at 232 then by the Redskins.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad pick. I mean, trouble is, the thing with a guy like that is you don't actually want him starting for you because he's not good enough. But yeah, he's a hell of a backup. Yeah.
So, and I mean, here's this guy, right? When he was in this, here's a bunch of in the comparables thing. Loads of players that don't work out. The thing with quarterbacks, just remember that because they don't get reps. If you look at a load of historic guys with this level, like 40 projection, most of them never get to play, and so they don't develop out. So this guy's the only one that's had the chance to develop out, probably. And he was quite good, but you can't tell the avoid interceptions on here. Or at least you can. It's not immediately obvious. And let's just see as an actual. Look, do you know what? Look at that. Can you see that? That's quite good.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I thought he's quite useful. I think he's a good, decent enough pick. Bearing in mind it's a shitty class, I think.
So here's my one for you on quarterbacks, right? And this is the 6th round pick kind of guy. Oops. Let's try this guy. I like quarterback Pinner, right? Who's further down, and this is really down the draft. And this is the sort of thing where it's the computer talking, right? This isn't really me, but the model And very few players in the model have had the chance to develop that look like Pinner because he's crap on the face of it. But when this guy did, he was good. And when this guy did, he was pretty good. So I can see Pinner being okay. I'm not going to be rushing to do it, but I would pick someone like that as a 7th or as an undrafted free agent and then just keep an eye on the avoid interceptions, I think.
So what does your system say about a quarterback called Vincent Laporte?
Laporte?
Yeah.
Right.
He's your second one down.
Here's Laporte, 19,000. So here's Laporte. And, well, there's another one that's gone really well that looks like Laporte. And there's one that's gone really well. So you can't rule these people out. There's low probability outcomes, these people working out, right? Jim, this is a masterpiece of work by Jim, right? Because just like in the NFL, a down the draft quarterback has got a low probability of working out, but you've got to have enough reason to think, yeah, this might work.
He's all right, isn't he? Laporte, he's not bad.
Yeah, like I can see the logic for this. This guy should probably be picked in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Right? This is, you can completely see the logic for this.
Yeah.
The ones, and look at this, right? Here's where this kind of comparison analysis is interesting. These are the two that have worked out that look like Laporte. This guy, can you see, he's called Reed. And then this guy at the top is called Bayer. And the reason why I think they can work out, if you look at this column here, this is the difference between the projection and the actual. So this guy turned out to be 18 better than his 42 projection. Perfect. This guy was 9 better than his 38 projection. Laporte starts at 44. And I take your point, Nick, that the bars matter more than the overall. But just to get a broad sense of what's going on between the scouting and the actual, this is a helpful indicator, right? Look at these ones. The ones that worked out over here have got higher combines for whatever the position drill means. I have no idea what it means, right? So that if you've got the position drill, you might feel a bit more comfortable taking Laporte. And he's got the high position drill, right?
Yeah, I quite like Laporte. I think he's all right.
Yes, I can see the logic too. That's a mid-round pick for me, I think, probably.
Yeah, I think he could go anytime now, really.
And what's his percentage developed? It's only 12, and he's middling in age. So he's that ratio, I think, matters as well. And that's a minus me. But you could try it.
There's not much else going on, is there? You know.
Well, if you're a crap team in this draft and you're in picking and you haven't got a quarterback, and instead of going for a veteran who you know is not going to help you in the medium term, why not go for Laporte? Or I'll say Pinner, you had Gomez, right? And just put them in and see what happens. The worst that can happen is they'll be crap and you'll be back at the top of the draft next year looking for a quarterback, right?
Yeah. Did you, change the subject, did you, have you had a look at the rosters in the league, or are you just looking at the rookies?
I'm just looking at the rookies at the moment. I haven't had a proper look. Somebody sent me the team needs.
No, I was just interested in what you thought of Rob's trade for 1-1. Bearing in mind you already had a good young quarterback.
Yeah, I saw it. I think, and Struble, by the way, Struble, if you can hear this, I can see you've got some guys in the Q&A. We'll come to that in a minute. So Rob's trade for the 1-1. Have I still got it saved in here? Hang on one sec. Let me just see if I've still got what I was looking at.
I noticed Steve, he's traded him to Steve for bugger all, and Steve's just signed him cheap as you like. And obviously Rob's now tangled up with this 1-1 guy that's going to want huge money and is only marginally better. It might not even turn out to be any better, to be fair. I mean, he appears marginally better than the guy he moved.
So I've not looked at all the players in that trade. Let me just quickly bring the trade up.
It's worth about 3,500 points what he paid, roughly.
Yeah, on the Jimmy Johnson one, right?
No, I'm just talking about the old school chart, about 3,500 roughly.
Just trying to find the trade. I'm not doing it
just over 1-1. I worked out to be what he paid, which I've got no problem, that paying that, especially considering it's a weak class. But I just don't think it suits the Steelers. I don't think it works for them. But if somebody else did it and paid 3,500, I think, yeah, nice trade, especially in a shitty class. That's really good. But I don't know. I don't think it works for them.
I mean, just stepping back, right? I liked what you and Rob did. So basically, the way you both reacted to the cracked class was to devalue your draft capital and then just trade up like crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you both did that, and that was presumably, that was the logic, right?
Make the best of it. Yeah, try and grab somebody. I mean, I don't think Fisher was all that. I mean, I about a 60-ish. But what else? If I hang about and wait till 126, I'm going to end up with, nothing. Really, nobody that's worth anything.
The opportunity cost of the draft capital was not very much, right? And so you're not sitting there thinking, I'm going to miss out on stuff. And we're just, this down the draft, right? You normally find more than this. There's just this is a bad class. So what do I think of Rob's thing, right? So in consideration for pick number 1, Rob has said, if you can see this on the screen, Rob has sent 14, 6th pick of the 3rd round, 11th pick of the 3rd round, so that's 70 and 75. A first next year from New Orleans, I don't know if that's a high or low first, I call it 16, middle of the first. A second next year, that's from Rob, so we call that a playoff first, so I'm going to put that as pick 28 in the 2nd round, which
Saints
is
probably, I would say the Saints are about 125, I'd put them at.
Sorry, what's that, sorry?
The Saints' future is probably a 125, they're a pretty good team.
Oh, right, 25, okay, so there you go. So if you do it like that, Rob has sent these picks for pick number 1. So on the Jimmy Johnson chart, right?
Yeah.
I get 2,000. You can see that. Let me make this bigger. Sorry. So you can make this.
Yeah, but he sent some good players too. That centre was top notch. He was a cracking player.
So he sent 5 players. Are any of those young passing game players?
Well, Galloway's useless. Montgomery's a decent player and Trapp's a decent player.
And they're both young, or?
Yeah, they're good players. I'll give you a valuation from a minute. Who did he send them to? Remind me. It's getting late.
Jacksonville for the first pick in the draft.
So Montgomery's Montgomery's a good player. He's worth he's worth early 2nd. He's got 86 route running in his 4th year, 55 overall. He's got 80 GD, 52 BGR. He's worth say 2.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice contract. Might even be worth more than that, to be honest. He's got no endurance. That's a drawback with him. But
does Rob game plan, presumably, does he know what to do with your low endurance wide receivers? I don't. I can't use them. If you do Rex and you've got low endurance wide receiver, they don't get any snaps. They just don't get the ball. It's rubbish. So can you see this, Nick? Can you see this grid here on the right hand side?
really happy if you got him in the middle of the first.
Sorry, I accidentally muted you. I pressed the wrong button. So what are you saying, Nick?
I'm saying this centre is worth about 116.
Oh, really? The trap? Okay, so
yeah, it's quality.
Okay, that's a good asset. All right, so look, on any kind of chart, this trade is not going to make sense for Rob, right? But if he thinks there's a real quarterback,
no, I disagree with you because you have to value every one differently. I mean, because it's a stud quarterback, normally you wouldn't value it. You have to be flexible with the chart value. So,
all right. So let me ask you this question. Right?
I mean, I've seen ones that are worth 6,000 points. Do you know what I'm saying? You get a 90 rated quarterback, you pay 2 1-1s for him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas if it's a defensive tackle up there or an offensive tackle at 1-1, you're not going to want to pay. You're going to want to pay, a lot less, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's I completely agree.
It sort of looks. I mean, it could be a 3,500, maybe 3.8. I thought that 3,000 being standard, 3.5 to 3.8. I mean, it doesn't look like an absolute super stud quarterback, but he does look like a good quarterback, doesn't he? 70-ish.
I'm trying to find. So, I was going to look for our homie Wes AK Big House Rules. He's quarterback in the GML, right? But he's just retired. Who's the classic example of the 40 rated quarterback who never throws interceptions? He's got 2 rings.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, what my point is that Rob's just thrown out 3,500 points, plus he's going to have to pay a huge salary, and he already had a quarterback who was pretty much this good anyway that he could pay peanuts to. So, although on paper it might look a reasonable trade, I don't think it makes sense because he already had a good quarterback. And
well, I thought Rob
and he was young.
I thought
he gave him away for next to nothing.
Well, yeah, so that's why when I did the mock drafts, I thought that Rob was doing this to get the tight end, which I thought was a bit weird. But he had 4,000 receivers already, and if he's got a quarterback, and the job that he's trying to do is figure out how to beat you, and you've got 200 wide receivers as well, I thought, well, okay, that makes some sense-ish. But I don't know this league very well.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it makes any sense. You know, not when you look at the bigger picture of what he did. I think if somebody else did it that didn't have a quarterback, absolutely fine, not a problem, sorted. But he already had a good quarterback that he was going to pay bugger all to. Now, I mean, this guy, I don't know if it's absolutely the case, but it seems to me when you draft a guy really high, he has expectations. His salary is high. Coming out of the fourth year, he's going to want monster money, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's going to want huge money. Whereas this guy Stelmach, Steve's just got him for like 3 million a season. Absolute bargain. And you know, this guy is going to be wanting 20-something million a year, and I don't know. It just seems like a weight around his neck, really, and he's paid heavily for the privilege of it.
Oh well, time for Rob to prove us all wrong with whatever he's going to do.
Well, you know, the thing is, he would have produced with Stelmach, and he'll produce with this guy. He'll produce with both guys, and he'll do well either way. However, I think he's given away a lot of unnecessary value, and I think he's put himself in trouble. I'm sure he'll still come through, but analysing the trade, I don't see how it works for him. If he wins, I'll say he would have won it anyway.
This is this instalment video. Next week, tune in for Rob defending his pick and saying why he doesn't like Nick's picks. All right, let's do this before we stop it. Hang on. So we've got these things on the YouTube, right? If you can see this. So can we look at these guys? Can we look at? Let's make this bigger. Can we look at guard Wasiewski? Just 4% developed, 20 years old. What do you think? How concerned would you be? And then left tackle Colston, shits at run blocking. Everything else that's good is worth picking up. So we'll do guard Wasiewski. Let's do that. Let's move this back over here. Wasiewski. All right. So I don't know what's happened. Joel, you still there? Hello.
Yeah, I'm still here. Just listening.
Good. All right. So Wasiewski, right here he is.
Yeah, I'm looking at him.
4% and but young. So if you're young, then 4%. Actually, 4% is a good way to get value. I always think because I think it makes people shy away. My thing. I'm sorry. Go back. My thing thinks this guy is considerable to be drafted from the second round downwards, and someone who might believably be on a depth chart. So that's a strong spot.
This guy, I see him not somebody I would draft. Simply because of his development, he'd be an absolute liability. I do think he'll be a good player if you've got the patience and if you're like a weak team that's really struggling and you don't mind throwing him in there, that's fine. But he's going to be an absolute liability. He'd never get the reps playing for me. He'd never get to where his potential. His potential is pretty good, but it's just not possible. He just never going to get the reps, so he's never going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Well, do you not then sit there sometimes, Nick, and say, well, hold on, I'm much better than the median roster. I know I've got a guard who's going to retire in 3 years' time. I'll take this guy with a third-round pick. Do you ever do that?
No, Nick goes and trades for a stud guard for one of his wide receivers.
No, it's too much hassle. It's liability.
That's interesting. I do that, or at least I did do that when I was playing a lot.
I don't want him taking up a roster space. He's just he's never going to get on the field. He's just going to sit on my roster. And he'll probably, he'll look like, say, 27 or 30, 55 in 4 years' time, and I still won't want to play him.
What about cohesion?
Pardon?
What about cohesion?
Well, I'd just rather go for bigger fish, I mean, I just think, I'd rather go for bigger fish.
I agree with that, yeah. But
I wouldn't want to waste my time on the guy.
That's interesting. Because I think the thing that you can take away from it, and I was trying to say when I did those mock draft videos, which I hope people thought were interesting, and I wasn't trying to be hot takey, but what I was basically trying to say is if you're trying to distinguish yourself from the 8 and 8 teams in the middle, you've got to try and shoot, certainly at the top of the draft, for top players, which means you've got to take the bust risk, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to accept that that's what's going to happen.
I mean, the thing is, is if this was a wide receiver, it'd be fine because you could give him reps in other formations. You don't ever have to throw to him, but let him go on the field. He'll gain, he'll grow without being a liability. With a guard, he will be a liability because he has to play and he has to start. With a wide receiver, you can just hide him out on the field and he's no liability at all, is he? So it doesn't matter that he's only 5 overall or something. It makes no difference to you because you're not throwing in the ball.
Yeah, I mean, again, you dictate where the ball goes, and I don't. So I'm a bit able to do that than you, but I see what you mean. Look, on this guy, just to come back to Struble, right? So let's just look at this, right? There's a bunch of people here that are busting, all right? So that's not very promising. For me, that's a discount. So I would have started off thinking that's a 3rd round pick, and I'll probably adjust my expectations to maybe a mid to high 4. In this class, different, but generally, in a normal draft, which is not a rubbish draft class like this one, I'd say I'd look like a 4. I'd have a different view to Nick in this respect, which is if this guy's young and he's very young, I would like a lot the idea of taking him. He doesn't see the field for 3 years. I've got a guy who's aging out. When the guy ages out, this guy can go in. If I'm a playoff team that's got an expectation of 11 or 12 wins anyway, I can put this guy in for a regular season. He will develop and be ready for the playoffs in year 3. And I don't really care about the slightly worse than league average performance during that regular season. The cohesion will still be there. He'll be cheap for his second contract. I like players developing slowly, so they're cheap for their second contract, not much production. I quite like that in positions I don't value very highly. But because of this probability of drafting, if this guy didn't have so many busts in the comparables, I'd be like, yeah, that's a 3rd round pick. I'd probably say a 4. That would be
I mean, while you're hanging on to this guy and he's doing absolutely nothing, I will have a 100 rated special teams player, who's actually producing. Do you know what I'm saying? Your guys just sort of sat there doing nothing. You can actually make that roster spot into a real player that contributes.
I agree with that. And the other thing is GML, no injuries, right? Which is different. And that meant that you could do this in GML a lot more easily than... Because I'd have the special teams players too, but I didn't have any depth because you don't need any, right? So that's a little bit different. And I was quite into chemistry too, which is, we're not on that discussion. But that's this. All right, next one on Struble's list was tackle Colston. So why don't we do that? So Colston... hold on a sec. Colston. DJ Colston, tackle. All right, so we got middling developed, high solid seismic, big tick, like that a lot. Low dash, question mark, because dash is wrong, is a pass blocking, isn't it? But a high static and a sort of median age. So there's Colston. Model doesn't like him as a guy to obviously draft. That doesn't mean he's bad. It just doesn't pick him out.
It looks like he'll probably do what it says on the tin to me.
That's what this is saying. Oh, look, there's a big boomer there, actually. Look at that, with the same combine. So let's look at this combine and let's roll this through, right? Because this could be an example of what I was trying to say earlier. So if you look at blocking strength 54, so look, the combine's 20, the pass block is 81. Those things, no, sorry, I've got the wrong way around. Agility is pass block, isn't it? So this guy can't run block, that's the point, right? He can't run block and nobody cares, but he can pass block. I can see why Struble likes this, because you're picking the guy for what he can do and not for what he can't. So you say, okay, that's an interesting idea. Particularly at left tackle, which is normally an expensive position. People think it's mirroring the NFL, right?
The thing is, though, you can't, with defensive players, that philosophy holds because you can sub them in and sub them out. With offensive line, they're playing every down. So for me, it doesn't hold because I'm still going to run the football a lot and he's going to be a liability. Whereas on defense, I can take the guy out to suit myself.
Did you play against Zach? I don't know how you pronounce it. Zach, T-Zach?
Yeah.
He was in this league for a while, right?
Yeah.
he's kind of taken it to really. I don't know how much you've seen this guy operate. He was in my division for Asian GML. He basically doesn't pass. He doesn't run at all. Like, he's very successful. It's quite interesting, actually. I think he's kind of really pushing the games to its limits. So here's a couple of guys then, just to come back to Colson. So Zach's hard to play.
What sort of passer rating is he getting on that then?
What, Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Like, he was in Ben's leagues. He was doing really well across the board.
What sort of passer rating was he getting?
Hang on, I'll show you. So let's see if I can do this. I don't know if this is going to work. Zach, if you end up watching this somehow, get in contact with me. We'll do a video like this. It'd be great fun. And you can show me how you used to beat me in GML. We used to go back and forward a lot. So let's have a look at some of it. These were his teams. Here he is. He went away, came back. His team was... So if you look at his passing yards for his quarterback, he kind of discovered this, right? So his early... you can't read any of this. So his kind of like an early and late period.
I wouldn't worry about what his yards were. I'd worry about what his passer rating was. You know, is it a system that's...
Yeah. So, but just show you the development of his style. He's getting 4,000 for his quarterback. Then he went away. The game changed into an update, and now his quarterbacks are throwing for 6,000. Right.
I mean, if he can hit a 120 rating at 6,000, yeah, fantastic. But I mean, if he's...
Well, let's have a look. I don't know.
If his ratings are down a little, then he's doing himself a disservice, I'd say, and he should be running the football.
I don't know how to get. You can get the stats here, and I'm just trying to figure out how the hell you do it.
Click on his quarterback.
Yeah. So hang on. So his quarterback was this guy Neil. Yeah. So Neil for 3 seasons, and Benjamin before that. There's Benjamin. Here's Neil. And Benjamin 80, 81, 82, 83. Neil. This would be better. Neil 84, 85, 86. 84, 85, 86. Yeah, so the rating's 90, right?
Yeah. No, I don't buy it. See, I think if he ran the football, he'd be his rating's only going to go up. So by throwing, he's putting the game to its limits, like you say. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, that it's making the passing game much less efficient. It's all right throwing 5,000 yards, but if you're throwing picks, your average per attempt's going to go down. Whereas if he ran the ball, his passing game's going to get better, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's effective or not, frankly. This one was a really interesting one, right? So this was against me. And I think when he had him, he won the division against me. And you've got a 6th round pick who, once he's had a couple of years build cohesion, is doing 100 racing there and then not so good. 2 times TD interceptions for 6,000 yards.
Yeah, it doesn't impress me.
I think he's testing the limits of the game, right? Anyway,
yeah, I think he's doing himself a disservice. I think he's a smart player. I think he'd win more if he ran the ball more. I went at one point. I tried to figure out what I thought was the optimal percentage, and I just set Rex to do that for all the time I played this game. And then I just the game playing part. I wish I found it interesting. I just don't. Anyway, come back to this tackle. Unfortunately, guys, my battery's going splat, so I'm going to have to leave you to it there. It's been really interesting talking to you, though.
Yeah, for sure. Look, why don't we should think about how we do this in like a format for this. Did we get around to the guys' last one? No, we've covered it.
I'm dying, so I'll catch up with you guys later, yeah?
See you, Nick. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
See you, Nick.
Bye.
All right. I think that pretty much sums up what we had. Joe, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, man. Well, look, I think that's down the draft. I don't know what that tells us really, but I think that's quite interesting.
I'm going to be interested to go and hear it again and hear what Nick actually said.
All right. Well, look, I think we'll leave it there. I'm going to figure out how to turn this thing off. Appreciate all the patience of people who listen to it. And I guess that's it. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Joe. Yeah.